So I just want to make a few comments here on some of the recent things I've been seeing on social media, um, things that are concerning to me. And I also want to try not to make any more videos on this right now. I think right now I do kind of honestly just I want to step away from social media, but I'm also feel the need to be pay attention to things right now because I feel like things are heating up, um, and not in a good way, of course. Um, it's looking bad right now, and I don't know what that means. I don't, but um, I on the one hand I want to just turn it off, because it's so depressing. I mean, it really is. It's draining. On the other hand, I feel like it's the same thing. Like if a massive thunderstorm is coming into your area, probably a good idea to pay attention to that, to see the developments. So that's the other thing. But I saw a video of a vigil for Charlie Kirk that I think was last night, obviously, because it was at night, and we're still not 2 nights since he's passed. So obviously it was last night, the night he was murdered, um, and there was an agitator in the crowd. Um, and if for nothing else, you got to give the guy some. I mean, the guy's got some stones to by himself go into that place. He's a jerk, nonetheless, but he's got some stones to do something like that, and the crowd wasn't having it. They just they attacked him. Um, he got tuned up pretty good, but he wasn't seriously hurt. He still walked away and fully conscious and all that stuff like that, but still a jerk nonetheless. But anyways, that video said something to me that these people, as in the Kirk fans, the Charlie Kirk fans, which I'm not like I wasn't a fan, but I loved his stuff. I didn't like listen to him on a regular basis, but I did enjoy his stuff. But these people, they're done. They are tired. They're sick of this. They're no longer just gonna sit around and let you just, heckle them while they're at a vigil to remember a good man. And they just it look it looked like from the video they attacked him first, and that started everything. So we're at the point now where we're no longer waiting to be attacked. We're gonna go ahead and just, you want to fight, let's go. And again, to me, that's worrisome. The situation is escalating. But that makes me think. So I'm seeing comments now of people saying, you know, talking about civil war, and I just ask myself, um, what does that look like? What does a civil war look like? Do you have any idea? I mean, do you know what that means? Do we know what that means? Yeah, and the thing is, I hear stuff like that, and I just think like it sounds like emotions, emoting and whatever. All due respect, again, I'm not trying to say, you know, you're overreacting a little bit here. I'm not trying to like do anything like that. It's a lot of it is justified anger, and I was angry too. But I just kept asking myself yesterday, and I continue to ask myself today, as it continues to be talked about, what in the world does that mean? What does it look like if we were to go and have a civil war? I mean, where's the enemy? They're all over the place. They're all around us. Um, you know, and the thing. See, here's the thing. Like, I've got gear. I got my equipment. You could say, I wouldn't. It's not as full soldier equipment, but I got equipment. I got stuff. But like, if who do I report to if we were officially at war, as in military combat arms against the enemy, which I guess is the left? Uh, who's my commanding officer? Who do I report to? You have to organize. You have to have some form of mobilization. You have to organize. You have to report. If you don't do that, well, then it's just a freaking free for all, and you don't know who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, and you're just shooting everything that moves. So, who who would I be reporting to if I were to put my stuff on and I was told, hey, this is breaking out. Okay, I'm putting my gear on, got my rifle and everything. Where am I going? Where do I go? You know, I say all that because I just don't think we're really thinking a lot of this through. Because once again, like I said yesterday in a post, I just feel a lot like we're romantic. We're still in the romantic phase of the great battle against evil. I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't want to do anything about it. Yes, we should, but we still gotta be realistic about things. The realities of war and what that would actually mean. When an army is getting ready for war, especially in the modern age, you get the call wherever you are, probably somewhere near your station, and you get the call, hey, you need to come in to report to base immediately. You grab your gear, you go to your base, you find your commanding officer, you get all your gear on, and you wait for your orders. That's called mobilizing. And then you're giving your orders. This is what we're doing, guys. We're getting on this transport, whatever, and we're going here, and blah, 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 blah. And we're just waiting for the green light to go. That's what it is. So how would that work in a civil war? How was that? Again, I ask, what does that look like? Who's in charge? And you have to also think about things like, here in Texas, if a civil war, whatever that means, broke out here in San Antonio, Texas, or in the area, whatever, what does that mean about the police? What are they going to be doing? The local military bases, what do they do? I don't know. I don't think many of us know. I'm sure something will get figured out. But see, the thing is, I don't think any of us really know what's going to happen. Have we as a country really prepared for something like that if it came to that situation? And I think a lot of times we rest too much on, well, it'll just be a lot like the Civil War. The problem with us and constantly trying to equate things with things of the past, we do that because we're looking for something in the past. When you're in uncharted territory, so it's, you're on a ship, right? Let's pretend you're on a ship and you know how to weather a certain kind of storm, whatever. And you know that because of past experience. And then but what if you go into a totally different kind of storm? You do need your past experience, but the thing is if you're just too reliant on well, when this happened over here, we did this, there's always going to be something different that happens this time around. But we're just way too reliant on previous experiences to try and help us deal with future experiences. And that only goes so far, because sometimes it's not actually correct. The Civil War back in the 1860s was very different than what it's going to look like today. Back then, you knew, like, it was just South versus North. That was pretty straightforward. It's not like that today. You can talk about where California might. I don't even know. Actually, I don't even know about California. Honestly, I don't even know about that. So I don't know what that would look like. It would be just chaos. You don't have a clear North versus South. You don't have a clear West versus East or anything like that. And if anything, it would be kind of like the Midwest versus both the East and the South, and the East and the West. That's kind of what it would more likely be like, but that's probably not even totally accurate. So I don't even know what that's going to look like, guys. I don't know how that's going to work. These are things you have to think about whenever you're talking about Civil War and whatever that means. So I just say all that because we if we're going to be serious, guys, we need to actually be serious, and we need to actually think about some of this stuff. What this means when we talk about these kind of things. I don't think we need civil war. I think what we need is and I hate to say it, but for conservatives, we need to keep our head on a swivel. That's what we need. Maybe it should be time for conservative speakers to go, you know what, we tried to come to your college campuses and talk to you guys. If you want to talk, we're going to have to go to this place now. And, obviously now we're going to have better security. Because basically it's clear that what the left has shown with something like this is they don't want to talk. They just want to kill you. They just want to kill us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell my fellow conservatives that, you're just going to have to deal with what these people are. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about call to arms, you got to be realistic. If you're going to start doing that stuff, you need to organize. You need to develop a system. You can't just be like, let's just get all our guns and, because if we do all that, who's the commanding officer? Who's taking charge of this little makeshift group, ragtag group of militiamen or whatever? Who's in control? And how do we know we've got allies? How do we know that? So anyways, think, guys, let's really think about this and be in a lot of prayer for healing. That's what I want to do. I don't feel like the Lord has called me to get violence. I know there's a lot of people talking about it. I just feel like I have a different call. If I have to protect the innocent, sure, but I don't really want to do that. I don't want to go there. I want to try to avoid that as much as I possibly can. So, prayers for our country, guys, and let's really reflect on these things, what we mean, what this would look like, how to prepare ourselves, really prepare ourselves for it, not just talk about the romantic ideas of a great fight for our country, and things like that. Really think about what that means and what that would actually look like. I don't say that because I'm trying to discourage us from something like that, but because if we're going to do that, we need to be ready for it. You can't just talk about it. You have to actually think it through, okay? So, Soli Deo Gloria. God bless. Bye.